Okay, so let's be Swiss and start on time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be again with you, this time on SEALSQ. We have been doing events here in the Nasdaq on YSQ, but this time it's my pleasure to introduce for first time after our listing in May last year, SEALSQ, which is a IoT cybersecurity company that it is growing fast because we are solving a problem which is a very important problem in the society, which is basically maintain our security in everything we do, in our homes, in our work, in our cars. Security and cybersecurity is complex, and it's going to get even more complex now with the arrival of AI. So today we're going to cover the entire spectrum. We're going to see how security is evolving in this industry, how post-quantum microchips are getting developed, how artificial intelligence is being used to monitor objects, how tokens, crypto tokens, are used to create a machine-to-machine payment environment. So it's going to be a lot of data, a lot of technology. I hope that if you have any question during the time that we're going to be presenting, you are free to talk. I mean, we want to run that as we do in Davos at the World Economic Forum as an interactive event. So you all get all the answers to all the questions that you will be providing to us. So we have among ourselves several experts that they're going to be speaking on different subjects that they are covering. And it is a long presentation. Normally I don't like a lot PowerPoints, to be honest, but we're going to do it for the purpose of organizing ourselves. But as I mentioned, we're going to be covering the market trends and opportunity on semiconductor. Everybody is hearing that semiconductors is getting very big. United States government just announced a few months ago the E-Chip Act in Arizona, but also in other states where something like $100 billion are being invested now in making sure that the United States do not lose their independence in what concerns semiconductors. I mean, semiconductors now, the entire industry of semiconductors is very centralized. It's mainly in Asia. Imagine, God forbid, that China attacks Taiwan and then the entire supply chains get disrupted. So that will have immediate consequences on everything we do. You know, we have clients in YSQ like Cisco that during the COVID time, we were actually one of the only companies with SEALSQ able to provide them the chips they needed. Otherwise, the entire supply chain is paralyzed. And those are billions of dollars of losses for companies, right? So this is part of our strategy, which is from our very strong cybersecurity DNA. How can we bring the technology and localize the technology in countries, both in the European Union, now top priority, and also in the United States. Obviously, covering the world as we have presence in many places. We'll give you some investment highlights, also positioning this technology in American, already very large company. Just maybe to start even on there, give you a starting thinking point here, which is many of the big companies like ARM, like NXP, that they are now multi-billion-dollar company markup, actually started in Europe, and which is exactly the same case for SEALSQ. So it is normal that European companies that they are small in Europe get very big once they enter into the United States. And the reason is that the European market is fragmented. You have to translate in many languages. You have to have deals with many governments, whether the United States market is very mature. So you will see companies that they are, and this is one of the reasons the Arizona state is actually soliciting companies from Europe to move there because they know that this growth becomes very fast, exponential. We're going to be, and this is the first time we do that in public, introducing to you the post-quantum semiconductor. So that's a very interesting breakthrough of the company. There are only 5 companies in the world doing this. This is post-quantum technology that allows a microchip to defend a quantum attack. So quantum computers are arriving within 3-5 years. Some people say already that some big companies already have them. We have obviously a lot of NDAs signed, so I'm not going to give you a full detail on who has them or not, but we can tell you that it's already there. And quantum computers will be so powerful that will break all the crypto at once. So triple DES, RSA, all the known cryptos will be compromised if you don't have a post-quantum strategy and you don't have chips that are able to defend a quantum attack. Maybe just introduce myself. I forgot to say that. I was the chief security officer, what at that time was not called a security officer, but I was an expert on technology for the United Nations for 16 years. So my job was working in technology for the UN. And at that time, we already learned very early in the game, because the World Wide Web was developed in Geneva, the same place where we worked, that if the web becomes what it is today, 30-something years after, security will be a major issue, because in the original idea of the World Wide Web, security was not even taken into consideration. The web is an interlinked machine-to-machine environment where the only thing you check is the certificate of the website as an SSL, but you don't care anything else. I mean, whatever is on that website is not your problem anymore. So that architecture, which was amazing in terms of democratizing technology, is actually not a good technology for securing. So you need to inject things on the web, World Wide Web, in order to make it secure, in order to carry the burden that we have today, which is amazing, complex burden. And for that, you need verticalization. You need PKI, public infrastructure, you need semiconductors, you need quantum. All the things are the things that you will put in your house to feel safe, right? I mean, your house is the first line of defense, but it's not the only one. So this is the vocation of everything we do, is really reinforcing an amazing infrastructure which has allowed billions of people to participate on the internet. But with all the problems we have, obviously, there's not only good people using this technology, it's also bad people using this technology. And we need to protect it. So that has been my background. I founded SEALSQ 25 years ago, which is a cybersecurity listed company. And then last year, we spin off with SEALSQ, which is the semiconductor business. But it's a lot of knowledge in the company among our experts in an area which might not necessarily be well understood, because some companies don't pay attention to cybersecurity. I remember when I started selling cybersecurity at very high level, people were saying, why I need to spend money on cybersecurity? I already prepared to put my budget on marketing, advertising. Why are you going to spend money on cybersecurity? Obviously, that situation is different now. Board of directors are obliged to disclose cybersecurity issues, and we will talk about that today. And CEOs on companies are very concerned that they have a cybersecurity attack. They can lose the entire markup overnight. So this was a hard journey, but an important one, and somebody has to do it, and we are proud that our team did it. Another thing we're going to discuss today is SEAL Coin. So this is totally mind-boggling project. It's out of the box. It's the first listed company on the Nasdaq that is going to be providing a crypto token for machines to pay each other. So that is your EV car paying your EV plug every time you plug them. And at the same time that you're transferring the coins, you're also making sure that the connection is safe, because a lot of the viruses goes when you plug into an authorized. So this is a project that was launched in Davos at the World Economic Forum, attracted a huge attention. And that will be presented in detail also during this presentation. And then we have the impact on market and technology roadmap. Where are we going? How are we doing this roadmap with our partners and also our competitors? And then we have I would say, the pleasure and honor to have with us Christina Dolan, an expert on ECG, writer of a book, which is there. And she will give us also a view on how ECG and cybersecurity combine, with a special focus also on IoT. ESG, obviously, is in all the boards of directors of the world. They're talking about ECG, but some of them, they don't quantify how to do it, and we have very concrete case studies how we can implement those strategies. So just to recap, as I mentioned, the company was listed in May 2023. We listed the company with that was one of the requirements from the Nasdaq to make an external valuation of SEALSQ, at that time around $30 million revenue. What we did is conducted that external valuation, which gave us at that time a $200 million valuation. And we listed the shares on the Nasdaq with a markup of $260 million in May last year. Obviously, last year was a terrible year. Mid-cap market collapsed. We were not known, so SEALSQ was not known in the market. We didn't have the opportunity. It was not an IPO, it was a listing. So therefore, you didn't have a bank that will sponsor the listing, and that obviously created a deflation on the share price, which was slowly recovered from January, as now we are trading an average 6 million shares per day, which is pretty good for a company which is not yet well known in the United States. We didn't do our non-deal roadshow, which is going to start actually already this week, and will be very likely that the stock will go back again to where it was. And the only reason is because, as I mentioned, all our peers are trading 20, even 30 times revenue, right, on the IoT. So 10 times revenue is 300 million. 20 times revenue is 600 million. So the potential is there. I mean, the company, and John will later give more details, is very solid. It's sitting on $30 million cash. It is at the operational level profitable. Last year we had a lot of costs on the listing. We invested nearly $4 million on the listing and the issues related to the IPO that aggravated our situation. But it's a very solid company. We have no debt. It is a company that it has all the fundamentals now to move to the next level. The company is sitting on very powerful certification. I mean, those certifications are important because that sets the entry level on which a competitor will be able to compete with us. Without those certifications, like FIPS compliant, and this is an ultra high grade certification standard. It is also a company now that has been selected by Matter. Matter is the new standard in the United States for home security products. So if you put a Wi-Fi router, a smoke detector in your home, you have to be Matter compliant. Otherwise, you'll not be able to sell anymore. And we are a Matter compliant company that can issue Matter certificates. So we are selling the certificate to video companies, video camera companies, Parrot, Vesta, all of them, they are buying microchips and certificates that allows these different use cases to be connected in a way that is secure. So the beauty there is that before, it takes a while, as I mentioned before, to convince somebody why they need to put a microchip on their product. Now, because Matter is there, it becomes an obligation. It's like an FIA type of obligation for medical product. This has been reinforced by the US government with they call the US Cyber Trust Mark. So this is the same like Matter, but at highest level, at a federal level. And the US Cyber Trust Mark, it's something that you will have to, it's like an Intel Inside mark that you put into the product before connected to the internet. So imagine hospital device like a pump insulin or a video camera in an airport. All those objects currently only have a password. In some cases, is a manufacturing password, so all of them, they have the same one. Some cases, they have some kind of ID, but it's so easy to break. I mean, we have people in our company that can break those objects within seconds if you don't put a secure element. So how you use that? We talk about the case of the connected car. This is Vestel. It's a client of us. It's one of the largest company on EV charging. They are putting the chips on both the chargers, and they are talking to the car industry to say, you should put the chip also in the car because this is the only way that you can ensure that the connection peer-to-peer between the charging and the car is secure. We have Parrot, all the drones of Parrot. Parrot is a French company which is very well known in the military because those are the new generation of drones. So with Parrots, we have our chips into Parrots, and also both on the drone and also on the command of the Parrot. And the reason for is that only the soldier that has the permissions to pilot that drone can access that drone. And the new battlefield philosophy is that we are moving from centralized hubs. That's how we used to do it in the past, including Switzerland. You know, we have bunkers inside the mountains where the Swiss military control the country. But today, with the hypersonic missiles, you can blow away the bunker in a few seconds, and then you are totally exposed. So what they are doing now is moving into what they call a peer-to-peer technology, defense technology, which is the soldier gets instruction from satellite, and because they have an identity on the object they own, plus the soldier itself, that trusted circle allows each soldier to become like a hub. And if for some reason the soldier is incapacitated to continue, that relates to another soldier. So we're moving into a decentralized, like a Web 3.0 military logistics. Cisco using our chips for securing routers. Cisco has already acquired over 100 million chips from us, so this is a lot of routers. And in that vision of Cisco is obviously also very much working with us on a post-quantum chip because they want to increase their security, but also because they want to make the hubs, the routers, IoT devices. So everything that connects to a Cisco router is not necessarily secure. So Cisco can influence the IoT market by saying, because the router is secure, I want the camera connecting to the router or the device or the pump insulin to be secure, and this is one of the major drivers for adoption. Medtronic, we are providing security for home health devices, that they are devices that you use at home to monitor your health, but the consequences of sending that data to the wrong person or getting your data intercepted is very high. So you need to have digital security, both at the personal level in your mobile phone, for instance, but also at the device level. And the data is secure point to point. Logic, this is access control. You know, it's so interesting. A few weeks ago, I went to Zurich, to the Google office in Zurich, which is the largest Google installment outside the United States. They have something like 5,000 people there. And the badging system, it was actually SEALSQ chips. And Cisco now is actually talking to us very seriously because they need evolving their own chip capabilities with chips. Cisco, in the same way, their companies, all of them, do not have chip technology, and they are using us to move the possibility of securing their internal infrastructure. Access control is very big. Airport access control, stadiums access control, supermarket access control, shopping malls, everything needs an access control. You can have it as a smart card or virtualize the access control with your mobile phone with a digital identity that you download from our websites. So just a recap, I mean, this is an industry that is moving. As I mentioned, all this industry a few years ago didn't care about cybersecurity. Neither needed microprocessors, microchip. And that's why the only companies that they are very big, they actually didn't even pay attention to cybersecurity. They didn't need it. You know, companies like NXP or others, that they are making billions of dollars or sell, they are not even concerned about cybersecurity. Their chips were like basic chips that solve basic problems. So the big opportunities in the high end here. I mean, in Switzerland, I'll give you another example, which is not listed here, is watches. We manufacture 25 million or luxury watches, Hublot, Patek Philippe, all those watches. We get 250 million copies of the same watches. Some of them, the quality is so high that if you go with a watch and you're trying to repair in an official office, they will actually do it for you because they reach such an amazing counterfeiting capabilities that they can generate the watch at $250,000 watch that they sell you for $60,000, and the watch has the same thing, diamonds, gold, amazing movement. So they needed something else. They needed something else, and the reason was because if I am with a very expensive watch and somebody challenged me and says, you have a fake watch, you should be able real time with your mobile phone to verify something on the watch and says, no, this actually is a genuine watch. So now we have 1 million watches in Switzerland certified with that technology. And this is actually in the case of Hublot, and I give you another spin on that. Hublot is a very famous Swiss brand. We did nearly 500,000 watches with them. And then because Hublot got the identity of the consumer, because you have to check in, you have to opt in, they created hublotista.com, which is available. Hublotista.com is a social media network for clients of Hublot that has a microchip related to their watch. So they use that to buy and sell watches, to go into events. I mean, it becomes like their private Facebook, if we can call it that way. That drives big adoption because some brands are not necessary, and this is very sad, you know, but some brands are not necessarily concerned whether they are being counterfeited or not. But when you tell them, hey, you know, if I buy a Bulgari bottle of perfume to my wife in the airport and I pay with my credit card, Bulgari doesn't know you know. But if I put something in that bottle that allows me to certify with my mobile app, Bulgari established a CRM relation with me. And that's what brands want, to have captive, high authenticated users. So the market is very big, and luxury market is one of the drivers. So those are the generation of chips. Later, or top expert on chips, Bernard will give you more color on the difference between each of those families. They solve different applications, they solve different use cases, but all of them, they have, as I mentioned, the common denomination, which is the security. This is also the competition mapping. So those are the companies and where they sit in the anagram in what concerns embed security provider. So we are pretty high up, and as I mentioned, we might be, I don't know, but I think we are one of the cheapest company in that generation, as many others. Some of them, they're only leading with identity, others are dealing with chips, but no one is dealing with chips, identity, and cybersecurity. And one critical question on that is why? Why NXP is being so big cannot deploy that? Is because they don't have a cryptographic root key. So I don't know if all of you understand what PKI is, public key infrastructure, but WISeKey, which is the mother company, is a PKI company. It's like VeriSign, like RSA, like Entrust. So we own our own cryptographic root key, and SEALSQ has built, on the basis of that cryptographic root key, their own cryptographic root key. A cryptographic root key is a master key. It's like in a bank. You have the key that the bank holds and the key that you hold, and you need both in order to open your safe. Cryptographically, it happens in that way. You need two keys in order to be able to decrypt the data that comes from those objects. So the SEALSQ semiconductor has embedded the cryptographic root key at the chip level. And we were the first company doing that. Now, actually, the market is catching up, and they're saying, oh, wow, I need to have that, because otherwise my chips are not secure. And another disadvantage is you cannot revoke, if you don't own the cryptographic root key, the permission you are giving to that chip. So let's say that, I don't know, somebody hacks 1 million Teslas, and you need to revoke them now, because otherwise people will die on crashes. You need to act within seconds. If you don't have a cryptographic root key, you won't be able to deactivate. Only if you are in a closed environment where you control everything, which is not the trend anymore. People want to be in a peer-to-peer environment. So cryptographic is a very intangible asset at the root level, but essential. When 3 years ago, we did a $45 million cash deal with DigiCert. DigiCert is one of the largest private cybersecurity companies in the United States. DigiCert approached us and said, hey, our cryptographic root key, which is an American root key, is not compliant in the European Union. Can we do a deal with you guys so we can create interoperability between both root key? And we sold to them a piece of technology that allowed them to be compliant with European e-sign legislation. And that allowed us, okay, we got $45 million cash, but what more important than that was that it proved the importance is to have your own cryptographic root key. Otherwise, despite the size of DigiCert, they will never be able to sell any services in Europe if we didn't have the level of interoperability. So this is the market. Again, I will give that a bit more to Bernard to mention, but it gives you a bit the distribution of the market, sales by product segment, logic, memory, analog, MPU, opto, discrete. All those are, and the big one is 30% change over the year. So this is the growth of each of those segments. This is the companies that they are moving into what we call the, this is, maybe you're going to cover that yourself already, right, Bernard?
I will be more on the post-quantum, but yeah, this is, all those slides, they are about how we compare with our competition.
Yeah, exactly. But I think during your presentation, you maybe just need to just refresh their mind about that, yeah. And this is the government ID, 15%, the authentication, embedded SIM. We just signed a few weeks ago a deal with GSM in Barcelona, the Mobile World Congress, because now all the telcos are moving to eSIM. And actually GSMA, which is the standard body for all the mobile telcos, embedded the cryptographic root key of SEALSQ at their level. So that means that theoretically, we are now able to be compliant with any telco in the world, and they want to move to eSIM, which is the, you don't need any more the chip in it. You just use your mobile like you have in your iPhone with an eSIM. And those are the breakdown. Yeah. I'm not going to say, it's a very long presentation, so I'm not going to hear until tomorrow, but just to give you the, where the IoT security happens in 4 different levels. Secure device, this is where we are, right? On providing identity at the chip level. Gateway connectivity, so this is a very unorganized market yet. You have companies like Sigfox, like LoRa, just providing some kind of assistance into interconnectivity. And then cloud. This is also our roadmap, right? We are very strong here. We were looking into this, but we prefer to have our own infrastructure. So actually, we launched 14 satellites to orbit. We have our own satellite constellation with the SpaceX. And why we did that is because the connection between the satellite and the chip is controlled by us, is peer-to-peer, is very fast, covers the Earth in the middle of the sea. If you have a container in the middle of the boat and you have our chips, the satellite tracks that chip, and provides an amazing quantity of data, which is, I mean, data in the IoT industry is the oil of the digital economy, right? Because in the future, you not only just sell the chip, but you own the data. And then you can go to that level, and this is we announced with Google in Davos, a cooperation where Google is now taking the data that we collect from the chips, analyzing the data with Gemini, and being able to provide back to the client information about analytics on the performance of their object. So imagine, I don't know, a nuclear facility. You put chips in every single pieces of that facility. You analyze the behavior real time of the facility. That data is authenticated by the chips and identity, and that goes to the cloud. So the cloud, using AI, can preempt any possibility of malfunction. Or the cloud can give you analytics on when you have to increase the security of your object or maintenance in your car. So this is the future, right? For the moment, this industry is growing. As I mentioned, several trillions of objects are connected. Secure communication is disorganized. And I think satellite is the only way and the cheapest way, you know, because now with the current constellation, every satellite costs us $250,000 to be sent to orbit, one satellite, which is a pico satellite. This is low orbit satellite. The same satellite 5 years ago was $25 million. And the same satellite next year is going to be $50,000. So it's becoming like a satellite as a service, right? Obviously, the credit of that is to Elon Musk because he's allowing company like us to use a SpaceX to send satellite. If we have to build infrastructure, it will be impossible, right? But the spirit is there, and actually I met Elon Musk in Paris last year, and he likes that because it reinforces also his business model, right? I mean, he has to, SpaceX, the day that it's going to be IPO, they will need to show that he's not only sending his own satellites, but he's open to other satellite organizations. And what we are doing, because obviously I don't want to continue sending satellites myself alone, we are working with companies. We did a deal with the Dubai port, DP World, on where they want to track and trace their containers real time. And the deal with them say, okay, we can provide you the chip and the satellite connectivity. So by the time the boat, the huge cargo ship boat is traveling on the sea, you clear all your documents and you stay only a few hours in the port because what it costs money is the time that you stay in the port. So this is speeding up the logistic market in an unprecedented way. And in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, the money's here. And the reason why there is trillions of dollars being invested on AI, it sounds great, right? Wow, I'm an AI company, I'm worth whatever. But it's actually useless because AI without data is useless. And if AI gets bad data, it's even worse because the analysis they will do on those data sets are going to be very dangerous. So AI needs to be plugged into trusted data that comes from the security process. And there's where the coin later comes into play because once you are on the data side, you are able to share that data with somebody else that need that data, and you can be paid for it using crypto coins. So global, I mean, this is public information, but just shows that this market is growing and will be keeping growing. I don't think it's any other market. We are talking, in Davos is very funny because every year you go to Davos and there's a lot of buzz about one specific area. Right? Last year was about blockchain, this year was AI. I'm sure next year is going to be about quantum. But the reality is that all these technologies are evolving at the same time. I mean, we are in an era where it's like it was in the Renaissance period, right? And you have mathematics, geographic, architecture, art converging, and each of them fitting to each other. We are in that era now. I mean, it's no point to say I'm going to invest in an AI company or in quantum. I think that will be about investment. You should rather invest in a company that is use all those elements to solve one specific problem. And that could be an AI company that is solving, I don't know, cancer drug production, or AI company that is solving AI, IoT data. This is the investment that everybody should take into consideration. Because a lot of hype about AI and a lot of companies that just take an open AI source code, they develop their own one, and then they go and get the data from Gmail or Google Mail, whatever, and that obviously is not the solution you want to have. So FIPS, I mentioned to you, validated versus FIPS compliant. FIPS validated encryption modules. This is very important because this is one of the requirements your customer asks you in order to be secure. And this gives you access to the NIST certification. Actually, if you Google SEALSQ NIST, you will go to the page of NIST, which is the National Informatic Security Technology Laboratory of the US government, which is basically the one that gives you the certification to access the market. And SEALSQ is listed with 10 companies only on that page. I'm going to just scroll because it's a very heavy presentation and I want other people to talk. Okay, so maybe on the strategic positioning, as I mentioned, we started in Switzerland, then France, where we have 70 people. Then we started to look into the possibility of expanding, but with a different approach by saying, because we believe trust is local, security is global, but trust is local, less localized or technology at national level, because that's what makes us different from the others. So we started to negotiate with different governments, first of all, and we have, by the way, a representative of the company that we are teaming, which is Odin. It's a Spanish company that we are building a OSAT center in Spain with financed by the E-Chip Act of the European Union, which is now in the hands of the Spanish government. The Spanish government has $12 billion to develop in Spain their own independence in semiconductor. Actually, Cisco got $300 million to establish a center in Barcelona, and there's a big movement. And we are in a final negotiation phase for Odin and SEALSQ to build a semiconductor personalization center in Murcia, which is the southern part of Spain, which is one of the technology hubs, with a grant from $60 million grant from the Spanish government. The same thing, we are working in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, the entire country is moving with the vision of the call Saudi Vision 2030. Which is, there's going to be 5 or 6 smart cities, fully operational. One smart city needs 1 billion chips from us, just to give you a ratio, right? So we created a joint venture company with the Jufali Group, which is a very large conglomerate there, and we are now in the process to talk to PIF, the Private Investment Fund of the Saudi Arabia government. They just created a company with the name Alat. Alat is sitting now in $200 billion to invest in semiconductors, so there is a localization. We also created a company in India, which is also a company, India has signed a free trade agreement with Switzerland, so now they need to buy from us as much as we're selling from them. And the United States. The United States is a very interesting project, we just announced last week. It's in Arizona. We already created the company, SEALSQ US, located in Arizona, and we are now in the process to engage with the authorities to also benefit from the E-Chip Act. The there's an interesting vision on that. Is that Switzerland acquired the fighters, the F-35, the U.S. plane, $6 billion deal from the Swiss Army. And there's a compensation plan on where U.S. needs to buy Swiss technology as a compensation with what we bought from the U.S. So we are in the process of lobbying, obviously, the authority to get into that compensation process as well. So obviously, you will prefer to buy chips than buy chocolates. That's going to be the options, or cheese. Switzerland doesn't have a lot of technology. We are the only two companies listed on the Nasdaq for Switzerland is Logitech, that everybody knows. This is the mouse company, and Haas, right? So I don't think they have a lot of choice, but to work with us in that compensation project, which will be a major source of revenue for us in 25, at the same time that we have the deployment of the secure chips. Anyway, just give you why we are selecting Arizona, a strong government support initiative, very skilled workforce, a strategic location as Arizona is becoming the chip valley now in the United States. And many companies, there's another Swiss company that has already moved to Arizona with the name Kudelski. I don't know if you know them. It's a secure element and a TV company. They have also moved operations in Arizona. So this is the what you do in those centers, the design center, design customer-specific microcontroller, ASIC and ASSP, automobile grading components. This is a very big market because one automobile has several thousand chips, and in the future, this is going to be crescendo. Differentiation, secure design, expertise, and certification, which is something we can do. Common criteria, FIPS and NIST post-quantum, which is very unique to us. And competitive open source, RISC-V technology. All this new, and Bernard will deep dive on that, new architecture is based on RISC-V. And that's going to be the dominant architecture you're going to have. The added values, software and digital identity injection at the chip level, I explained that before. Root CA, I also explained, certification by Wison, GSMA, and Matter, common criteria, and growth drivers, service, other semiconductor players. So the model there is that we have our chip, but if somebody that had chips in Arizona or anywhere in the world would like to have our security, we can also license our security. We don't force the people to have our chips. Personalization centers, so those are the, those certifications I mentioned before, they're very hard to obtain. For instance, WebTrust is a yearly certification on your cryptographic root key. It's a very tedious certification. You have to have your key in a bunker. Actually, in Switzerland, we use a military bunker in the Swiss Alps inside. It is a certification and is done by KPMG or one of the big firms. And if you don't pass the certification, your root key is ejected from the browsers and the internet. And we have done that for 25 years, year after year, right? Wison Alliance, this is a very big IoT alliance. GSMA, you know them for the mobile phone, US Cyber Trust Mark, and the European Union certification together with Matter. So anyway, I give that later also to Bernard because he will run that into presentation. But just give you the market size on the IoT device market, which is where we are now. The TPM market, which is catching up very strong, and there are very small amount of TPM companies, and those are the next generation chips. And then the secure microcontroller market, so all of them growing 33% and higher. Okay, with that, I'm going to give the floor now to John, our Chief Financial Officer. If you have maybe any questions at this point to me, floor is open, maybe a few questions, and then I'll give John to go through the financials. If you're not, you're going to have a possibility later. Yeah, please.
I guess one question on the OSAT, obviously that is more capital intensive. Is the plan to use, government, is that the main reason there? Because in general, I would assume it entails a lot of CapEx over the years. So how are you thinking?
Exactly. The case of Spain, right? I mean, an OSAT is a $60 million project because you have to buy the machines. So this is not only chips, right? You have to have the personalization. There needs a real estate infrastructure because it has to be a clean room. So that costs a lot of money. We obviously don't want to use our cash because our cash is for core activities. So we do that either as a joint venture, which is the case of Spain, or where the government is investing. And in that joint venture, Odin, which is an IoT company in Spain, and SEALSQ are shareholders of the joint venture, and that constitutes the initial core. Then the government injects money in the joint venture. In Europe, we don't know yet. In the United States, it might be different, but in Europe, this is equity into the joint venture, convertible loans into the joint venture, and grants, unpayable grants. And it's about one-third, one-third, one-third. The beauty of that is that this is not cash out of our pocket, but we consolidate revenue, right? Plus, revenue that is done at the joint venture level, but also the joint venture buys from us, from SEALSQ, machines and everything, and buys from Odin, which is our partner, IoT sensors and things like that. So there are things that both companies sell to the joint venture. But yes, our objective is to do the same thing in the United States, because obviously with the size of the company, if we open the capital now to raise 60 million, we will dilute totally the company. It doesn't make any sense, right? Only if Bank of America help us to do an IPO, but that's a different discussion. Yes, sir.
How do you continue to monitor and assess the potential threats that are emerging from bad actors? Sure. Can you hear me? Yeah. How do you continue to assess the potential threats as they emerge? Because the cyber crime industry is such a prolific one with sophisticated actors, their attacks and those threats as they emerge. How do you continue to assess that landscape?
Yeah, I mean, this is core of our activities for the last 25 years. You know, we were the first company in the world to do e-voting in Switzerland. With our technology, Swiss people vote online, and we are one of the most democratic countries in the world. I mean, I would say cybersecurity people it's like happening in battlefield. You know, you always has two forces, and they are competing to each other. Before, and this is good news, the people in the bad side, they had more resources than the people in the good side, right, of things. And this was already from our time in the United Nations. We always realized that it was kind of ingenuity from big companies and government to say, well, cybersecurity is never going to happen to us, right? So that gave to the dark side of this business too much power, too much money, because they have make an industry. You know, we know guys in Russia and in other places, without mentioning maybe a country, that they are able to buy a software in a kind of eBay dark web facility and just hack Bank of America, hack JP Morgan. And it is amazing that you can do that, right? But now, and we have been contributing to that dialogue in Davos, at the Clinton Initiative, everywhere we participate, is to create awareness that you have to be better prepared in the defense side. As happens now in a war situation, right? You have to have munition on both sides, otherwise the other party will take over. But cybersecurity in the bad side is a business. It's a several $trillion business, which are all interconnected. The illicit trade, people buying in the Fifth Avenue this Louis Vuitton bag, actually by doing that, you are contributing to a $2 trillion mafia world that is feeding themselves their bank accounts for that money. And sometimes when we go to the brand and say, why don't you make that object impossible to counterfeit? It's easy, technology's here. They don't care. At the beginning, they say, well, it's okay, you know, my clients don't buy fake product. That's the answer you get. But actually say, okay, but your clients are contributing to $2 trillion mafia world that puts young kids working, that prostitute women. And then when they start to realize that this is a brand issue for them, they start to react. So then we are in that phase now, that everybody has realized that if they don't invest enough money on cybersecurity, they are exposed, because that market is very well organized. It is a brand liability, because their brand can be destroyed overnight. And it's a total cybersecurity collapse, because your stock market price can go to water levels if you don't secure. But it's going to be a crescendo, because the weapons are available to anyone. I mean, that's where those certifications are very positive. You know, we had so many cases in SEALSQ where countries, we don't want to mention which one, came with a lot of money on the table if we sell them crypto. And we also say, no, sorry, we are listed on the Nasdaq. We have our own obligations, so we don't want to do it. But not all the companies do that, right? And this is something that we will have to mitigate. But the good news, the technology is there. this technology, I mean, I always say the day that you can make money on cybersecurity, you will create the next Google on cybersecurity. We will be solving that problem. But this is a collective effort, right? It cannot be done only by one company. It needs consensus and needs participation.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question? Okay, so I give the floor to John. Anyway, we'll have the opportunity to get back later. That's your command.
Good morning. So our fiscal results for 2023 demonstrated the strength of our business today and present a solid foundation for future growth. Before I go into more details, I'd like to start by emphasizing a few key metrics for the full year 2023 as compared to the full year 2022. We were able to increase our revenue by 29% to 30 million and our gross profit margin to 47%, which was 5 percentage points higher than the 42% we reported in the full year 2022. 2023 was a year of operational excellence marked by revenue growth, geographic expansion, new customers, and new products. We continue to invest in next-generation technologies and increased our resources dedicated to research and development. A total of 3.9 million of our cash was used towards R&D, which was approximately 1.6 million more than in 2022, so about a 60% increase in our investment in research. During the year, we've introduced several new products and made continued investments in technologies that we have and will continue to pave the way for future growth. Of note, we continue to drive growth in our pipeline with 28 new design win projects and 15 new design-in projects for the year, which are expected to lead to additional revenue streams with new products moving forward and were driven by both existing and new customers. A large number of Matter device makers, EV charger suppliers, and smart meter companies selected SEALSQ's Matter-certified PKI offer as well. So, as I've already mentioned, the revenue for 2023 was 30 million, which is a 29% increase from FY 2022. And this was driven by demand for secure elements, Matter-related products, and the integration of semiconductors with cutting-edge technologies, including IoT security, identity protection, and cloud services. Our gross profit continued to grow as well at 14 million, being 4.2 million higher than the profit of 9.8 million in FY 22. And our margin also improved to 47% against the 42% in FY 2022. This improvement was mainly due to operating leverage resulting from higher revenues and better product mix. Additionally, we did get a one-off benefit from during the rising prices of 2021 and 2022 during the global semiconductor shortage. Our strong relationships with our clients enabled us to negotiate improved pricing to pass on the impact of those price increases to our clients. And then as the market came back to a more standard process and we were getting reduced prices of our purchases, it took time before that corrected in our sales prices. So we had a one-off bump in our gross profit margin there as well. And then finally, we've also made some tactical investments to help improve the yield in our supply chain, we employed a person specifically charged with overseeing the yield and the production on our production process, and that yielded in itself a benefit in the region of about $500,000 we estimated during the year. So that was a significant improvement. In 2023, however, we did report an operating loss of 4.1 million due to higher operating expenses. Our sales and marketing costs were higher in the year, which reflects the expansion of our sales force. In particular, we've attacked two markets that we see as critical, one being the US here, where we believe we can continue to grow significantly. As Carlos has mentioned, we've got several projects planned for the US. And in addition to the target to build an OSAT and install an OSAT here, our opening of the office and increase in the number of sales and marketing staff we have in the US to help us drive our growth in client base over here has resulted in increased costs coming through from last year. We've also then, the second market we've then targeted is Taiwan, where we believe with a vast number of semiconductor players there, we felt that was a market that we were underrepresented previously. And we see these as crucial investments which aim to take SEALSQ to the next level of growth. Our general administration costs also rose. That was partly due to an increase in cost to support the expanded SEAL entity, but also one-time costs relating to the listing of SEAL that will not be recurred in the future. And finally, we increased our research and development expenditure, as I've already mentioned, but I'll come back to some of the drivers for that shortly. Briefly looking at our revenues by region, they continue to be weighted heavily towards the US market, although we do still believe there's significant growth and significant opportunities for us in the US market. And so we believe that our strategic decision to invest in the sales teams in Taiwan and in the US will help drive our growth. We believe Asia, as you can see there with 12%, we think we've got an opportunity there where we're currently underrepresented. And on the other hand, we also believe we can make significant steps by expanding our US footprint. So moving on a bit more onto the research and development front. So during the year, as we ramped up our investment in our development of our next generation products and our post-quantum resistant chip, Project Quasar, we continued development of this project, which is a radically innovative solution that I believe Bernard is going to present in more detail shortly, based on our new secure RISC-V platform, and that's paving the way for the post-quantum cryptography era. In December 2023 on this project, we delivered an FPGA emulator trip, a new milestone, and we believe we're on track here to complete our new secure microcontroller design in this half of 2024, with the first engineering samples expected by the end of the year. So that should really start to see us being able to present this to our client and develop the new products, as Bernard, again, I believe, is going to go on to, and we believe that will really drive growth in the medium term. And yeah, so we expect that to start bringing the returns in late 25 onwards. Finally, our team also introduced two new secure elements to the market in 2023, which was the Vault IC292 and the Vault IC408, and they made significant product developments on the side of our certificate and key management SaaS platform, INES. These secure elements are specifically designed to enhance the security and protect users' data in highly sensitive IoT applications like smart meters, electric vehicle chargers, medical devices, and industrial IoT components. And so we've identified and established numerous new use cases and market opportunities for these products that we believe, again, forming the basis for our new revenue streams in the medium term and also in the longer term. So as a result of this, we expect our R&D costs to remain at this level, and we continue to invest heavily in this area to help support the future revenue growth, and we believe it's critical to staying ahead of the market and ahead of our competitors. So in addition to our operating results, we also invested $3 million in new equipment to support our manufacturing process and to allow for us to support the expansion of our production capacities. Regardless, we ended the year with a strong cash and cash equivalent position of $6.9 million, and we believe this balance strengthened during Q1 2024 by further fundraising, which now leaves us, as Carlos mentioned earlier, with approximately $30 million in cash on the balance sheet. We believe that gives us sufficient funds to allow us to continue investing in the development of our next generation products and our expansion plans. However, as I highlight here, before I pass over to Bernard to go into more detail onto the Quasar project, I just wanted to comment on the general expectations for 2024 briefly, which Carlos, I believe, also will come back to shortly. As we are expecting a temporary slowdown in traditional semiconductor revenues, and we've taken measured steps to tap into new revenue streams to try and offset some of this temporary slowdown. As Carlos has already highlighted, we're currently in negotiations to establish OSAT centers in the US, Spain, and Saudi Arabia, in addition to the existing facility we have in France. And these centers are expected to boost our revenues as well as opening up additional markets for SEALSQ. As Carlos also mentioned, we've engaged in a consortium, the Smart Container Consortium, which is gathering various players within the logistic industry and aiming at transforming this industry through innovative technology. This consortium aims to deploy IoT-enabled devices and sensors for real-time global tracking via the WISat satellite constellation, and that will create a seamless, secure platform of hybrid IoT communications. So we then also recently introduced SEALCoin, which is expected to positively change the machine-to-machine economy by facilitating seamless data and currency exchanges amongst IoT devices, thereby expanding the ecosystem of IoT-enabled transactions and services. This development in the realm of tokenization is currently in its pre-registration phase, and we're expecting it to be available on various exchanges by, I believe, the end of 2024. And I believe our Andreas will be presenting on that later during the presentation. So additional upcoming developments include products that support emerging standards in cybersecurity and matter certification, as well as products focused on post-quantum cryptography and AI. So despite the expected slowdown in the traditional semiconductor market, we look forward to the year to come as we continue to announce advancements that we believe are going to help continue to drive growth within SEALSQ and hopefully help us into the future. So on that note, I'll hand over to Bernard Vian, the General Manager of SEALSQ France, who will provide additional details on our next generation of post-quantum semiconductors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Okay, so good morning or good afternoon. I believe it's just afternoon to all. So my name is Bernard Vian, Bernard for English, Bernard for American. I'm French, as you can hear, I'm French. And so I'm the managing director of SEALSQ France, was the affiliate of SEALSQ that does the design, the marketing, and we are piloting the supply chain of our activities. So as you can read in the title, I'm supposed to give you an introduction to post-quantum semiconductors. Usually, when I start with that post-quantum word, the reaction is, well, we have no clue what's quantum, and now you pretend that you are going to explain what is post-quantum. That sounds a bit challenging. Correct? I take the challenge, and I believe, I hope that after those few pages, you understand everything about post-quantum. I take the challenge. So I start with a slide that sounds a bit dramatic, but that's to put first things into context. Before I talk about post-quantum, I need to explain what is at stake. What is at stake is, very simply, I just listed a few things that you have either in your pocket or on your PC. So your Visa card, I mean Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whatever you name it. Your passport, a key, a dongle that you would use to protect your cloud. You know, the SSL transaction, all the transaction you're doing with for mobile banking, that's SSL. In general, everything that relates to encryption, decryption at large, and I could really multiply examples. Those things, the day the quantum computer exists, they're dead. It means they're dead. That means that's well, those things have been thought to protect you, or your card to protect you, I mean, to make your payments secure. I could, again, all that, well, the day the quantum computer exists, those things, they are useless, okay? And useless, that means it would take nothing to a quantum computer to make a clone of your Visa card, to make a clone of your passport, etc., etc. So now, and as you might have understood, what we're doing at SEALSQ is we are specializing in designing secure semiconductor. So we are designing secure chips. So now you understand why quantum computer is important for us, because it is on our radar. This is the next big thing. Just as like artificial intelligence is, I mean, there is a consensus to say, well, it's going to be an enormous change. There will be, enormous change for mankind. In the cybersecurity world, quantum computer will be a before and an after. There have been in our world, there have been steps. This one is by very far the biggest threat our industry has seen. So that's why I use this dramatic, if I may, word of the day after tomorrow, because again, you understand now the context. So, but there is no date. What is important in our space? There is no date. There is no. We can say, okay, tomorrow or whatever date. This is going to be the change. We'll have to change. No, this is obviously a process. This is something that is ongoing. So I need to first explain also this process and where it started. I put here just a few dates of the cybersecurity industry. And I will not go over all the dates, no worry. But the one that are the most important. The one, 1977, in our world, it was a big thing. And it was at the genesis of the genesis of SEALSQ. I explain, RSA, this is barbarian term. It is the name of an algorithm. That's the one that you use on your Visa card, on your passport. All those things that I was listed before, all of them, they are secure with this algorithm. This algorithm is something, the guy who have invented it, genius. It was about, I'm not going to explain the mathematics that are behind, obviously, but the principle is you can think about it. Two persons in the world, they want to communicate in a secure manner. Okay? Simple. Why it starts to be very difficult is they never met. They never physically met. They've never had the opportunity to handshake, and they might have exchanged something. No, that never happened. There are two parts of the world never met. And still, they have to communicate in a secure manner. Secure means they want to make sure that the other one listening is well the person they want to talk to, number one. And they want to make sure that if someone is spying, they will get, shit, sorry for my French, they will get, they will not be able to understand what they are discussing. These guys, and so think about it, it's super tricky. And they are the first in the history of mankind who have thought how we could manage that. It's so clever that here we are, 50 years later, we are still using. There have been, of course, there have been evolution, but the principle, what they've invented, is still the one that is all the example I was listing before. That's the technology that is behind RSA. What we are doing, so SEALSQ, we are where we are good at, specialized, where there are what? 5, 6 companies in the world capable to run those algorithms, and so they are running very, very specific function that an Intel computer would do, but it will not be very efficient. It will take forever. Our chips, they are designed to do that super quickly, number one. And the other thing is, well, it starts, again, to run this algorithm, you have to have a secret. You have to have a secret. Our chips, they are designed to store this secret and to make sure that this secret remains secret. And this is where everything we're doing starts with that. And it's super specialized in our world to make all the countermeasures that makes the secrets staying secret. That's if the secret that there is in your Visa cards is stolen, well, okay, there is no Visa card anymore. So that's why it's super specialized. And this is what we do. And as a matter of fact, there are not that many in the world, and they are all in Europe, none in the US. I could explain or give you my rationale why it is that way, but that's the way it is. So 77, this is how it started. The other important date, 94. A guy, Peter Shaw, is an American. He made a publication where he explained, he gave the recipe to break the RSA algorithm that was listing before. He published the recipe. So we say, okay, so we're doomed. Yeah, the problem is, he admits, it would take 100 years if we were mobilizing all the power computing that exists on Earth. To do that, it will take, even with that, 100 years. So, okay, it's good, but it's theoretical, right? It doesn't, practically it doesn't make, it is useless. And I'm now come to the third date. 2023, it was July last year, Google said, well, we have been able to run a quantum calculation, so a few minutes, they have been able to run a quantum computer. And as you can read, well, they were able to run in less than a second what a traditional supercomputer would run in 47 years. Aha. So now you start to obviously understand what is the issue. Well, the issue is that what was not possible until now, well, now they have proven that for how long the world is going to be secure. Because if it took less than a second to run 47 years computing calculation, well, if this computer starts to stabilize and to be able to repeat that, well, so now the cybersecurity is another problem. Was entering into a new era. Right? It's the day after tomorrow. So this is how it's not like it takes us by surprise. We, in our semiconductor world, we know that for long. So we have been at SEALSQ putting R&D efforts into that. And we are following, of course, we have been able to make a proof of concept. So we have a prototype of a completely new algorithm that's going to replace the RSA I was mentioning before. So there are new algorithms that has been designed to resist to the quantum computer. So there are two of them, Kyber and dilithium, whatever. We've been able already to make some proof of concept to show that, yeah, we are able to run them, we are able to do implementation and to secure them. Well, our roadmap is about that, so we'll have a bit later another set of slides to explain what is our roadmap in that space. But this is what it is about. We are designing the chips. It's our semiconductor field is a race. We have been always racing against, they are the goods, they are the bads. Well, we pretend we are the goods, and we are always thinking ahead the new attack, the new ways to break cybersecurity. So our new threat, as you understood, it is the quantum computer, and this is the roadmap we are building, and the new generation of chip that we are going to launch So the first prototype will be launched this year for a commercial ramp up in 2025. And yeah, that was it. So I hope, did I win my challenge? Do you understand what is? Okay, good. Back to you, Carlos, I believe.
Thank you, Bernard. There is a video that we want to show before Andreas comes. Do you have the SEALSQ video? Yeah? You want to play that now? So I just play? Oh, here. No sound? 1 second, there's no sound.
Machine-to-machine communication. Step into this world, gene communication. Step into this world. What if the future of connectivity and interaction wasn't just between humans, but also between machines? Imagine a world where devices communicate, transact, and make decisions autonomously. Welcome to the realm of the Internet of Things and machine-to-machine communication. Step into this world with SEALSQ, an innovative crypto token designed specifically for the IoT and M2M landscape. Its potential applications are as diverse as they are transformative. Picture your home not as a static structure, but as an ecosystem of smart devices. SEALSQ can enable transactions between these devices, allowing for seamless payments for services such as energy consumption, maintenance, and subscription-based features, all without the need for human intervention. Now, consider the vast networks of supply chains. SEALSQ can revolutionize logistics by automating transactions and data exchanges between sensors, trackers, and management systems. This promises not only improved efficiency, but also unprecedented transparency. Imagine the future of transportation with autonomous vehicles. SEALSQ can manage microtransactions for tolls, parking fees, or charging stations, and facilitate data exchange with traffic management systems. In the urban jungle of smart cities, SEALSQ can enable machine-to-machine transactions for services like public transportation, environmental monitoring, and resource management. This can lead to smarter city operations and a more sustainable urban environment. Healthcare, too, stands to benefit. Wearable and implantable devices could use SEALSQ for secure data transfer and automated payments for diagnostic or monitoring services. In the realm of renewable energy networks, devices like solar panels and batteries could autonomously trade excess energy using SEALSQ, optimizing resource distribution. The industrial sector can harness SEALSQ to streamline operations by automating transactions between machines, sensors, and systems, reducing operational costs and improving efficiency. In the retail world, imagine smart vending machines or automated stores using SEALSQ for frictionless payments and efficient inventory management. Even agriculture is ripe for revolution. IoT devices like soil sensors and automated irrigation systems could use SEALSQ for data exchange and service payments, enhancing farm management and productivity. And finally, consider the power of peer-to-peer transactions. SEALSQ can facilitate direct machine-to-machine transactions in a decentralized manner, enabling a more distributed and resilient economy. So what does the future hold? A world where devices and machines not only communicate, but transact autonomously. A world where SEALSQ transforms industries, from home automation to healthcare, from energy trading to agriculture. A world where connectivity takes on a whole new meaning. Welcome to the future with SEALSQ.
Thanks, everyone. So thank you for your time for looking at the short video presentation on SEALSQ project. So I'm Andreas Moreira. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for SEALSQ. And I'll be happy to take a few minutes of your time to show you a small product update on the SEALSQ. So in its ambition to transition to a decentralized ecosystem and shift towards a Web3 business model, SEALSQ has launched a set of projects in partnership with Hedera and its Hashgraph Foundation. The SEALSQ token embodies this Web3 commitment to enable control over machines, which means IoT, in a peer-to-peer ecosystem. As you can see, our goal is to bridge the physical integrity and digital identity with the use of SEALSQ. We do have an end-to-end security platform with the cryptographic protocols of first security devices and communications already enabled with the billions of semiconductors we have provided over the IoT industry. And our goal is to bridge this over an immutable ledger, the blockchains, and ensuring in this the trust and transparency. Notably, we're using Hedera, which are one of the largest ecosystem for blockchain interoperability for especially companies. They have lots of support with Google and lots of big companies. And we see in them a partnership where we can bring the throughput and the reliability of their ecosystem into the digital world for machine-to-machine interactions. We believe there's lots of opportunities in the IoT landscape. We see a lot of innovative technologies that can be targeted, such as DLT, this means the distributed ledger technologies, blockchain, of course, but also AI, quantum, and zero knowledge proof. So lots of interesting, secure ways to provide the data information on the machine-to-machine ecosystem. Lots of market potential. We can explore new avenues for growth, facilitate IoT adoption and expansion, and capitalize on new emerging trends, as I mentioned. So I wanted to move forward with this very interesting ecosystem mapping. So in this, we can see that it is even beyond the machine-to-machine ecosystem. It's a peer-to-machine, to-machine-to-peer ecosystem. As you can see here, we have device A and device B, which are transacting through one of the services we've mentioned during the video. And each object will be associated to a certificate, which will be embedded in the semiconductor. And the hash of the information in the semiconductor can be associated to a wallet on the distributed ledger technology. This can be then managed by an owner that will utilize the utility platform, such as ENS and WISE-ID, where we associate the certificates and digital entity for objects. And this is actually where the utility of SEALSQ comes in. With the usage of SEALSQ, we will be both utilizing as a payment token, but also as a utility token. So it will be a kind of hybrid token utilized in this ecosystem. We plan to use as well the data monetization in the future through this decentralized infrastructure and add DAO governance to embed the ruling over the blockchain. So this was a very short demonstration on what we are expecting to bring to WISEcoin in the future. As John mentioned, we're opening already the presentation on SEALSQ.ai. More information will be provided on the financials, such as economics, at the end of the year. Thank you for your time, and I'll pass the floor to Carlos.
As I mentioned before, that is a very important piece of the technology landscape of WISEKey, because we are the first company, together with SEALSQ, that is moving to what we call TIoT, which is transactional IoT. There's a lot of IoT out there, but here is a different dimension, as objects are becoming intelligent between themselves to the point that they can pay each other. I have still two presentations. First, we're going to play another video, which is the quantum video that complements very much what Bernard mentioned before. And after, I would like to give the floor before 12:30, because we have a second event later this afternoon, to Christina on the ESG cybersecurity IoT aspect. So if you can pass the quantum video to the producer, please.
The dawn of quantum computing threatens to cast a long shadow over the security of Bitcoin wallets. The 12-word seed phrase, the very foundation of Bitcoin wallet security, stands at risk of decryption by the superior computational abilities of quantum computers. This is a potential threat that we cannot ignore. SEALSQ, a pioneer in secure technology, has recognized this looming danger and taken decisive action. They have embarked on a journey to fortify Bitcoin wallet security, developing an advanced crypto wallet feature designed to shield the precious seed phrase from quantum computing threats. In a world where technology evolves at light speed, SEALSQ has identified the urgent need to enhance wallet signature security. This is no simple task. It requires a blend of theoretical research and practical application, and the development of browser wallet security extensions. Even though blockchain technology provides innate security to cryptocurrency transactions, cybercriminals continue to devise ingenious ways to extract wallet key phrases. To thwart these malicious efforts, SEALSQ has joined forces with WISeKey to create a proof of technology for a crypto wallet on the Hedera blockchain. This collaboration aims to combine public key infrastructure signatures with biometric authentication, thereby eliminating the dependence on manually managed seed phrases. The project's goal is to align seed phrase generation with WISeKey's public key infrastructure, integrating it with users' biometric signatures. This innovation will render manual management and memorization of seed phrases obsolete, significantly bolstering security and user convenience. WISeKey's public key infrastructure represents a formidable authentication framework, marrying the strengths of biometric authentication with PKI digital signature technology. The result is a level of security and ease of use that is second to none. As quantum computing continues to evolve, SEALSQ remains at the vanguard of technological innovation, introducing post-quantum semiconductors. These advanced chips are designed to significantly enhance security, identification, and data processing capabilities, marking a significant leap forward in artificial intelligence, performance, security, and efficiency. SEALSQ's portfolio, which includes semiconductors, secure elements, roots of trust, cryptographic keys, and hardware security modules, underlines their unwavering commitment to technological progress and security. In an era where the AI divide is widening and the need for robust, quantum-resistant technologies is critical, such innovations are indispensable. There is a surging demand for post-quantum semiconductor technologies across various sectors, including fintech, defense, and space research. This growth is fueled by government initiatives and contributions from major market players. As the digital landscape continues to change, SEALSQ and WISeKey are leading the charge in developing technologies that ensure the security and sovereignty of digital identities and assets. Their latest innovation addresses not only current security challenges, but also anticipates future threats, ensuring the safety of users' digital assets in an ever-changing technological environment. For more information on this revolutionary security feature and to download your digital identity, head over to wisead.com. In summary, SEALSQ's groundbreaking crypto wallet feature represents a significant step forward in the fight against quantum computing threats to Bitcoin wallets. It is a testament to their commitment to safeguarding digital assets and identities. The future of Bitcoin wallet security is here, and it's quantum resistant.
So, do you recognize the voice? Who can tell who was talking there? Me? Everybody agrees it's me? It's AI, it's not me. The entire video has been generated by AI, including my voice. So I have been training an AI algorithm on everything I do, quantum, IoT, and the algorithm is learning from all my professional experience, and is able now to produce those videos alone. I didn't say anything. I just let the AI to basically explain to you guys what we were doing. So that sets the future. I mean, the future is where the future we're not going to be able to make the difference between a human, an AI, an algorithm. And this is why it's so important, what I mentioned before, that we as a human, we keep the control, and we are at the center of gravity of the fourth industrial revolution. Otherwise, it will be impossible in the future to be here. The machines will rule. So we have maybe, this is the only time left that we have on where we can put humans back in control. So I give the floor now to Christina. She's going to be the real voice, no AI. She's real. And she's one of the world experts on ESG. And she's also, we also have the privilege to have her in the SEALSQ and WISEKey board, by the way. So Christina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Carlos. So I'm very excited to be here. And as Carlos pointed out, and everybody else who spoke, this is like the most exciting time to be in the technology space. I'm an electrical engineer and computer scientist. I've spent my entire career at the bleeding edge of technology. I was at Hearst and Disney when the first consumer websites were built, at Oracle, launching e-commerce. I co-founded a telecom company in the ISP space. It's one of the largest, very successful IPO. Was CEO of an AI company, spun out of MIT, and then was in the data space for institutional financial trading, got into blockchain, and been in the cybersecurity space for the past 7 years. So I have been at the forefront of technology and have really enjoyed it. But as Carlos just said, this fifth industrial revolution is really, really exciting. And so as we begin to talk about the ESG and, whoops, this is Bernard's slides. So. All right, so this is all exciting stuff too, but okay, here's my presentation. So I wrote a book on ESG because I'd worked in the data space for institutional financial trading. And what was really exciting about this opportunity to write this book is that ESG has many different layers to it, right? And being that we're in the fourth industrial revolution, very exciting. They're saying, some of the analysts on Wall Street are saying that the technologies that Carlos and Bernard were just talking about are going to contribute 7 to 10% of global GDP over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. That's 7 to 10% of global GDP, okay? So this is really, really exciting, right? But of course, that comes with some, ESG stability issues, right? Because if you can't measure the impact on the environment, that's problematic, right? And so that's what we're very excited about, the partnership we have with Carbon Minus, which is using the SEAL coin, which you've just heard about, in order to measure the impact and also be able to manage it. Because if you don't have the data, you can't really manage it, right? And in addition to that, I've always said cyber is the most immediate financial and material ESG risk that we have in this, in the world, right? It's immediate. You see nation states that are using it. And so this was the book that I wrote on the data. What's interesting when I wrote the book is that I realized that ESG means different things to different people, right? So for the UN sustainability goals, that's, will the Earth survive? And one of those goals, which is about healthcare, goal number 3, there's no way you're going to reach this goal without IoT, data, and no way, right? So you go through that whole list, it's completely dependent on utilizing these technologies. Then in addition to that, you have other lenses by which to look at ESG, and those would be GRI, which is a company's impact on the world. Well, how do you measure the impact on the world if you don't have the data, right? And if you're proliferating the world with all these technologies and you don't have a metric for that, you can't really measure it, right? And then SASB, which is the most used metric, is will a company survive? And I'll tell you that if a company doesn't innovate, if it's not using AI, it will not survive. So you must have an understanding of the impact that it's creating. So obviously ESG is a risk metric in its center, so even though it has many lenses. What's really, really important, though, is that when we talk about ESG, G is absolutely the most important aspect of ESG. It's the governance. And without that, if you don't set KPIs, use the data to set goals, and then measure against them, you're not measuring your ESG, right? You're not going to meet those objectives. And so it's a really important thing to realize that governance, especially now where regulators are requiring that boards be very aware of cyber threats, you need the data to be able to manage. And so it's more important than ever to have the technology available to organizations. So a different angle is the fact that we live in these connected ecosystems. These ecosystems are connected both from cybersecurity and network perspective. So third-party risk is very important because if there isn't cyber hygiene within your partner networks, then that affects the security of your own network. So it becomes very important to manage the risks across the network. In addition to that, you also have the multiple scopes, right? You have to be able to understand the scopes from a carbon perspective and be able to report on those. So within your ecosystems, there are many different players, from partners to employees to regulators, investors. We live in a connected world. So we're connected in terms of partnerships, how we do business, and also electronically, which of course then has other risks and other data associated with it. So now I'm going to switch a little bit because from an industrial revolution perspective, when we talk about fourth, fifth industrial revolution, it's important to note that what really defines it is, as Jerry Rifkin from Wharton says, you usually have three elements of change. It's usually how you're powering economic value, how you're communicating it, and how you're moving it, right? But now we're in a phase where you have more factors than that. And so, as I said before, this is one of the reasons why a lot of the analysts on Wall Street are saying that this new industrial revolution could very well generate 7 to 10% of global GDP, because of the fact that when you combine them together, you can solve interesting problems. And I'll take you back to like Henry Ford, right? You had new type of new type of fuel, you had engines, transportation, and for people who lived in New York, we had this massive manure problem for the 150,000 horses that roll over the street. So when you created these cars, not only did you change the economics and mobility, but you also solved an interesting problem. And of course, with that came some carbon issues. But anyway, you can see that these industrial revolutions create opportunities. And as you can see from the fourth and fifth industrial revolutions, there's a lot more technologies that will be used to create a lot more solutions. And so that's why it's really critical to be able to understand the impact and also make sure that the solutions are secure. And so with that, I hand it over to Carlos. Thank you. Thanks.
So thank you very much, Christina. Yeah, the floor is open to questions. It has been a very heavy day, a lot of technology, a lot of concepts, some of them very new to the audience. Just to inform you that this afternoon after lunch, we're going to serve lunch in the next room, which has a beautiful view to Times Square. We have also the honor to host Maite Spinola, which is with us here, an amazing artist and a sculptor and philanthropist from Spain, which has been working together with us in developing some of, I will say, revolutionary concepts of art. So if you like art, you are most invited to join us this afternoon. She's going to reward amazing group of personalities, and they will receive the gold medal of the year. So this is like the awards of the art industry. And all this art is going to be, it is already available in wise.art, which is another aspect of our activities, which is dematerialize the art, which is now in some cases in boxes. In the Vatican, we have been going to the Vatican, we have been going to collectors in Italy, in Spain, the letter of Christoph Columbus, we did an NFT on it. And this is part of our endeavor as well as a company, is to dematerialize the knowledge, dematerialize the art, and leave for the future generations the possibility to access unlimited things that now they are in some cases in dark rooms, in private collections, or in some cases in boxes. It also builds a new revenue model for the industry, because without selling the original, they can make money, and with that money, they can maintain their collections. It's a very, very exciting project, which is also booming in our environment. So I just would like to, before I close, leave you three things. One thing is that technology is there, so there is no need to develop more technology. Technology is converging, so that means we are like we were in the Renaissance period with Leonardo da Vinci and the mathematics, geography, architecture. We are converging. That convergence is creating a new world, which, as Christina said, the fourth or even the fifth industrial revolution. Every industrial revolution brings an amazing systematic change. And there is a need to position the human in the center of gravity. Actually, I wrote a book with David Ferguson, which is in the room with the name Transhuman Code, in a few years ago in Davos, where we started to anticipate the danger of not keeping the human in control, because this technology is amazing, where you can make a presentation without even being there by just letting your avatar to run the presentation, but it has huge potential risk. So humans need to be in control, and this is the vocation of the companies that we design. Amazing technology, very aggressive vision, but always ensuring that humans are in control, because if we don't do that, we're going to be maybe the last generation that will be witnesses this progression. In the future will be robots on AI algorithms. Remember that robots and AI algorithms are being designed to optimize. So we humans are slow, we die, we breathe, so we send CO2 to the atmosphere. This is not at all the best optimization that we can do, right? So those algorithms will reach a conclusion that we are not required anymore. So we need to train those algorithms to the contrary, that human has innovation, humans have emotions. We have many of the assets which are impossible to reprogram or even to put on an algorithm. And those are going to be the jobs of the future, those going to be the industries of the future, and where we will, as a human, prevail. So I don't know if you have any questions before we close. Otherwise, we're going to open those windows, and we're going to have a lunch all together. And you are most welcome to stay if you wish during the ceremony. Maite, I'm sure, will extend their invitation to any of you. Any questions? Hello, sir. Nice to meet you.
You know, I studied artificial intelligence 30 years ago before
yes.
I worked, and I had to wait for 3 decades to get it, economically viable solutions out of it. And I define myself 4 singularity moments in AI. The first one was we already proven 30 years ago that humans can build machines that can self-learn without being deterministically programmed. The second one was, can humans build machines that beat humans in some tasks? We have reached that moment where whatever task you put an AI on, it will beat humans. Yeah. It can be oncological diagnosis, it can be self-driving cars, it can be play chess, play Go, whatever. It beats humans. The third singularity was, can it be also general intelligence? Because all the AIs are what we call special intelligence. They solve one problem. So a chess AI will not drive a car. A self-driving car AI will not play piano, while we as humans can do everything at the same time. So this is what we call general AI. This is emerging in the next couple of years. And as we speak, hundreds of thousands of AIs are emerging. If you put in governance AI governing all these 100,000 of AIs, you have reached the status of having a general purpose AI. So we are 2-3 years away from that goal. And the fourth one, where it becomes scary, you mentioned that humans should be in the center of thinking and in control. I'm not quite sure whether we will decide that, because the fourth singularity is self-consciousness and self-awareness. And if a machine that is better than us, more intelligent than us on general purpose tasks, becomes self-aware, we have created a species, a new species. It's not a tool anymore. All inventions we have done so far, all technological inventions that have led to an industrial revolution has been tools. Whether a hammer is a weapon or a tool, we decide. Whether the atomic fission is used to keep us cozy and warm in atomic plants, or whether we use it as an atomic weapon, it's our decision. Once you create the new species that can program, that can reproduce itself, that is superior than us in intelligence, that is self-aware, It's not us to decide. It will decide because we have created the new species. So the big question here is, can we find out before the machine finds out how self-conscious and self-awareness is even being created? Right now, neuroscience people, neurologists, informatics people, scientists on artificial neural networks are busy finding out how self-consciousness is being created. We don't understand it yet. I just hope that we find it out before the machine does.
Absolutely, fully agree. There's a dimension to that, and this is actually another aspect of our work, is that I was in the United Nations for 16 years, and my job was actually defending the PII, personal identifiable information, which now can be encrypted into algorithms. Before wasn't the case. And we are actually bringing the technology to the point to create with the United Nations, as we speak now, the human digital rights. Human rights exist. I mean, we are protected by the Convention of International Human Rights. What we don't have is digital rights. It does not exist. And our lives now, they are a combination between physical and digital. So in order to stop that machine to reach that level of singularity, and to be honest, this is an industry that wants to reach that level. One of the reasons we want to go to Mars is because, the people that will stay here will have a different totally lifestyle than the people who will live in Mars. But in order to go to Mars, you have to enhance the human being because the current human being is not capable to resist the conditions of Mars. So there's a drive there. So it's a fight between the people and the one that extreme society by the people that say, no, we have been able to mitigate risk all our generations from history. Humans know how to mitigate risk. We even mitigated the risk of atomic bombs. I mean, we had been sitting on a possibility to destroy the planet for so many years, and we're still, despite the threat, not destroying the planet. So the same principles can apply to AI. But for that, as we were mentioning here before, the problem is where the money goes. Is the money going to go to people and they want to create that scintillant AI where, as you mentioned, AGI will be able to regenerate another species? Is that what we want? Is that the design of society we want? Or no, we're going to still be humans, use our talent, use our uniqueness, and be sure that that doesn't happen. I don't think AI is more powerful than HI, which is human intelligence. It's an extension of it. I also was 30 years ago in the UN working with AI before even the name was AI. The big difference now than we have now data, which we didn't have before, right? So I am very pro-human. I am the human team, and I believe that we can solve the problem provided that we all collectively put the energy on it. Yeah, please, another.
So the question is, governments and regulators, what needs to happen to make sure that what you're saying is actually going to happen and that what you're saying is not going to happen?
Yeah, actually, Europe is a good case study because Europe is the first government that is regulating AI. I mean, Thierry Breton just launched the first AI regulatory framework just a few weeks ago, right? The problem is that AI goes so fast, as we were talking EGI, by the time regulators get there, the AI is already 10 generations ahead. So it's going to be a fight. But I think legislation is essential, provided that legislation doesn't become an issue for companies. Because one of the concerns we have with legislation, being a European company, is that they're putting obstacles to our growth, which is not the case in the US, right? US, you just do whatever you want on AI. There's no limitation whatsoever. So that will disadvantage the company then they're sitting on that legislation. So that needs to be carefully studied.
Yeah, well, that's the challenge. It's the regulators always behind what companies need, et cetera. So.
But I believe Europe can become a trust center. I think Europe is looking its destiny now. And I think Europe can become the world trust center. It means that data is protected. We have GDPR. We have eIDAS. We have many tools that in other countries don't pay attention, which has been detrimental to what happened in the US with social media. People lost totally their control of their data, right? Which is not the case in Europe. So I think that could be the future of Europe and European companies if we invest in that area. Yes, sir. If you don't mind to introduce yourself so everybody else knows.
Yes, I'm Nicholas Wonder. I'm a guest of IT.
Hi, Carlos. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You mentioned how to mitigate threats, right? There's several threats out there. How would you mitigate, the threat of AI replacing jobs? That's a fundamental social responsibility of companies. There's been talks about universal wages, but how do you see that moving forward? That we need to be prepared to deal with this unemployment.
Yeah, it's actually a very good question, and it's a question that Davos, the World Economic Forum, has been focusing a lot in the last years, which I participated. I believe AI does not destroy jobs. I believe AI creates jobs, but they are different jobs. So when I have 6 kids in my family, so a lot of kids, and my daughter comes to me and say, "What I should study?" I say, "Look, trying to study things that AI cannot do." And what AI cannot do for the time being, although EGI could eventually get there, is handling empathy, emotions, personal contact, jobs that they need human interactions. And because we're going to have more time free, because AI is going to take a lot of work from our daily routines, we're going to have more time to engage between people, which we don't necessarily do now. Because we don't necessarily need to work 40 hours or 60 hours if you run a startup. You're going to have a lot of time free, and that time free can be put to the service of the society, so you can yourself become meaningful to society because you have talent that the society needs, and you will be increasing the interactions between people. For instance, the number 1 job now in Switzerland for young people is drone pilots. The entire industry is crazy to find drone pilots. The people that were working on games now than before, when we have our sons working too much on games, we say you're losing your time working on games. Actually, game technology structures your brain in a way that is extraordinarily efficient for the next generation society. Or finger, which is when you press a lift in the button, you're using this finger, right? This is not anymore the dominant finger. The thumb is the dominant finger for the new generation because they are using the thumbs to pilot the control command. Therefore, the new cars, actually, they are designed to use the thumbs. So you see, so it's an evolution of the human, which is the technology is adapting because we want to serve the human. But that's what I mentioned before. Human needs to be in control. So I don't think we should ever let AGI to learn emotions. I think we'll never be able to feel emotion. They will be able to replicate emotions, like you do with, and you get served in a very expensive restaurant, and you want somebody, you want to tip the server with, a very big extra tip, and that person is going to fake an emotion on you. It's going to be ultra nice, ultra servant, but that's the kind of emotion you're going to get from a robot or AI. It will never be a human emotions. And although the difference is very blurry, we don't necessarily know yet what human is versus not human, we will learn from it. And this is the learning curve that we are doing now. But I am very positive. I think humans, and by the way, what you're just saying is very important. The United Nations has, for many years, decided that we should have a global universal income. So we end up poverty, which is one of the sustainable goals of the United Nations, and poverty. And we have the technology to do that, but we don't have the business plan. We have the business model to do it. But for instance, there is a very big initiative starting in Switzerland to tax robots. If a robot does the same work that you do in a factory, why we should not tax that activity? And robots should be taxable. So their performance by being taxable that tax can be used to provide that type of universal income. So we're getting there. I think it's a question of years, but I am very optimistic that we're getting there. So we end up poverty, which is the number 1 priority on the Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, gentlemen, sorry. It's a microphone.
Thank you, Carlos. This is Alex Hantman with Sidonian Company. Could you share more about your vision for IoT products, particularly with respect to security? I'm just curious whether sales to companies like Cisco represent chip-only opportunities or sales, services, the broader picture?
Yeah, those companies now, then they are very big, like Cisco. We sell millions of dollars Cisco microchip. But those companies are, I don't like to use the word, but this is where they are, a bit legacy companies, right? All of them, all this IoT, they are not really yet IoT. IoT is Internet of Things. Those are more like the T at the end, thing. They are thing companies, right? But the proportion of objects that they are connecting to the internet is minority. I mean, the only object that really now is really connected to the internet is your mobile phones, right? And that's why the first cycle of cybersecurity investment has been to secure the phone. But now with the eSIM movement, with IoT, with the fact that you can put a secure element at the chip level, that's what we sell, this is becoming everywhere. A hospital wants to connect the pump insulin. Imagine that you are in a hospital and a hacker stops your pump insulin. It will take few seconds to do, technically speaking, if the hospital is not secure, because all those machines are centralized. So you need to put a security element on the pump insulin so when the hacker reaches there, because it will reach there, it's an illusion that the hacker will not get to the pump insulin. What they will not be able to will be to manipulate the pump insulin. Or a hacker then will drive your car and speed up your car in the middle of the highway to the point that you cannot control your car anymore, or the steering wheel. All those things are happening now. And that is why you need secure elements, because the secure element in a car will say you cannot accelerate the car because there's a different chip on the car. You cannot manipulate the steering wheel because it's a chip. So objects are becoming intelligent, smart objects. It means that they have their own intelligence to decide to whom they are allowing a permission to manipulate that. It's a tedious offer because not everybody understands the need of doing it. You need something very bad to happen before a company comes and say, wow, I got hacked, or my airport cameras has been all compromised. And that takes time, and this is a human reaction, is that normally we are very kind of conscious after the problem and less before the problem, right? But I am confident that AI is going to accelerate that process as well, because AI can analyze now the data, so you can tell a company that their situation is very dangerous, and that will have a consequence on the insurance. For instance, insurance will not cover you the risk if you don't secure your objects. Here in the United States, being a very litigation-focused country, I'm sure everybody's going to be very concerned to put an unsecure object, that can compromise the entire perimeter. So I am very confident that this industry is going to explode very soon. Any further questions? Yes, sir.
Quick question regarding the coming quantum computing power. Is there a barrier to entry for the cyber thieves, or are they on top of it and need to be step by step with companies like SEALSQ?
Quantum itself, the barrier is very high because either you are IBM or Cisco, not even Cisco, I would say Google, Microsoft, the Chinese government, somebody maybe in a very wealthy country in the Middle East, they will not have the money to basically create that phenomenal machine, because quantum machines are several billions of dollars to be produced, right? So that's going to be very high barrier. If you see quantum companies, actually 99, they are not real. They are using the word quantum just because it sounds great. What Bernard introduced is and this is a very theoretical model, is to instruct your microchips to be post-quantum safe if there is a quantum computer. So it's a simulation model, and you say, if a machine with that kind of capability, computational capability, hacks my chip, this is how my chip should respond to it. And we are actually working with companies that they do penetration testing, then they have already quantum capability. And it's only after you resist those quantum penetration testing that you get the certification. So it's a very elaborated, very tedious work, right? But once you're there, you're there. I mean, you remember the people that are my age or our age, remember the year 2000 bug? You remember the year 2000 bug? So this is another year 2000 bug. Everybody got very scared because the clock will reset and then you have to change your, so the entire industry mobilized to be sure that they were ready to the year 2000. So we are in that process now with everybody. Post-quantum technology and potential quantum threats is in the radar of any serious CEO or board of directors. They have to have that type of concern, especially if you are a credit card company like Visa, MasterCard. Imagine somebody breaking all your cards in few seconds, right? So yes, it's a very complex, but at the same time, fascinating area, yeah. Thank you. Any other? Yes, sir. Sorry, I didn't get your name. You're the founder? Francisco? Francisco Fernandez. And you are with Mr. Fernandez?
I was invited by Maite Spinola.
Okay. But you're from the industry, right? You're from the...
Yeah, I founded a dozen of companies, all software companies. So I'm a software engineer by education with specialization in AI. I'm still using AI at scale, for example, in the pharmaceutical industry.
That's great.
Music industry and the likes. No, but I remember a couple of years ago that Ed Snowden disclosed 6 documents out of 1 million documents he stole, and he disclosed that the US government, especially the NSA, introduced a Bullseye Act, forcing companies to open up chips with backdoors for their own use. But of course, the Russians and the Chinese are using the same backdoors as the NSA, to manipulate or hack into computers, especially when you compromise the random number generator of every chip that uses cryptography. Everything becomes open. It's not easy to hack, but these governments assume that the Russians and the Chinese have these capabilities, hack into that. How can you make sure or prove that your quantum, let's say, protection is not compromised by the same US government?
Yeah, it's actually 2 questions in your question, because quantum cannot be compromised because quantum is just a computer capability. What you're saying is cryptography root keys, which are VeriSign, RSA, WISE-key. Do they have backdoors to the US government or Chinese government or whatever government? The answer is yes, and not necessarily because the government is looking at you or the government wants to control you. I mean, this is a bit of kind of conspiracy theory. It's because the government needs to have the right or revoke the trust of those keys if that goes into the wrong hands. So there's and this is kind of depending on the country, right? So if you are in the United States, yes, you're based on some legislation that if you are a root key and you issue a certification authority to I don't know, South Korea or North Korea. South Korea will be okay. North Korea or Iran. Obviously, you are compromising national security. So you need to have some kind of access to the backdoor. What is becoming sneaky is when a company will sell you a 5G antenna with a backdoor without you to know. That's a different problem. In my case, I don't have any of those issues because we are a Swiss company, and Swiss doesn't have a backdoor to the Swiss government. So the WISE-key cryptography root key, which we have one and has been there for 25 years, it is not compromised by any backdoor to anybody. We only have a foundation which has been created in Switzerland, which is International Organization for Secure Electronic Transactions, which is the watchdog of the key. And there's absolutely no backdoors to be provided. And we will never, myself, authorize any backdooring of that key. Switzerland will never disclose how much money you have in a Swiss bank, right? So this is provided that the money is legal, huh? Provided that the money is legal. I mean, legislation in Switzerland is very strong in what concerns privacy and non-intervention from the Swiss government on technology. That's why it's a great place to create companies in Switzerland, and after coming to the Nasdaq to make it bigger. But we don't have that problem. But it's a real problem. What you're saying is actually truly a real issue that has good side is that you need to have the government as a partner. Bad side is that depends who runs the government, right? That can change day after day, and that can create unwanted problems. Yeah. Any other question? Otherwise, okay, yeah, let's go that. Please, there's.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm Pat from AXA Wealth Management. As we know, IoT is going to change the full insurance ecosystem. What would be for you the first early adoptions in the insurance sector with IoT?
Yeah, Pat, nice to see you. You're from AXA, right? AXA Insurance. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for insurance company, to be honest, because as I mentioned before, the liability of companies that do not have a threshold of cybersecurity and IoT is so high that they're going to expose to legal actions. So the trend now is that, as we do in the audit world, when you have a listed company on the Nasdaq, you have to have yearly audits, financial audits. This is becoming a trend to conduct cybersecurity audits by third trusted parties. So there are people coming to your company and say, okay, I want to see how you're handling security. And actually, what Christina was explaining about ESG is part of that audit process as well, because not only you need to be cyber secure, but also it's possible environmental, sustainable, ready company, right? Because there's a lot of other dimension of this, which is climate change. And I think what will be a huge business opportunity for companies like you is to provide that audit. That you team with technology companies, and we go voluntary at the beginning. It doesn't need to be compulsory. Say, you run an audit on your cybersecurity practices. Do you have a chief technology officer? Do you have a chief security officer? Does he report to the board? It's, I mean, all these good practices, best practices that you can apply. And then on the basis of that, you give them an insurance rating. And that's where the market is going. In 5 years' time, I would say companies will have to run those type of external audits in order to maintain their. Actually, already the Nasdaq is already applying cybersecurity audits on companies for listed companies. So there is a huge potential for insurance company, and you will reduce also your risk, right? Because before providing the policy to an unknown company, you would like to be sure that that company satisfies the cybersecurity requirements. I think it's a fascinating subject, but we have a lunch waiting for us. So I would like just to thank you, everybody, for your questions and your very active participation. And now the lunch is open. And welcome, by the way, all this amazing delegation that Maite Spinola is bringing to the Nasdaq for the first time. Thank you very much. One second. Before Maite would like to say a few words as a way to connect to the next panel.
Qué lección para los jóvenes ver aquí todo lo que se ha hablado, esta maravilla, que sepan que tanto Carlos Creus Moreira como Francisco Fernández son hoy dos de los hombres más importantes en el mundo de la seguridad cibernética. Lo han demostrado, lo están demostrando y lo demostrarán. Así que enhorabuena a todos por poder escucharles, oírles y aprender. Un abrazo a todos y vamos a disfrutar del día que nos tienen preparados. Gracias, anfitrión.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's move to lunch.